Dr. Sam is here. He's a member of our morning family, comes in from time to time to keep us healthy. As your parents always said, you only have one pair of eyes. Turn on those lights when you're reading or something. It really is kind of sage advice, all of that advice we got from our parents. And if you're a parent, you're probably looking at your kids and just making sure that they have decent eyesight. It's one of those things you want to monitor. It may not be in the front of your mind all of the time, but at this time of year, if the kids' grades are slipping a little bit, or if they're having some difficulty in school, it may be because they simply can't see. And, well, it's true, isn't it, Dr. Sam, that most learning occurs through a child's eyes?
Well, that's true. And lots of vision problems can cause problems with education. Often school teachers see this and flag it and bring it to parents' attention. But a lot of times the kid's just sitting in the back of the classroom and not doing too well and actually can't read what's on the board up front. So that's common issue. Kids obviously just don't know what they're missing.
I would imagine it's also difficult, the new challenge that you and I didn't have growing up, where all we had to see was the board up front. But occasionally now, depending on the school and the classroom, kids are using an iPad or a computer and looking at a computer screen, nearby within, 12 or 14 or 15 inches, and then the distant vision up on the blackboard.
True. Of course, right, when you and I were kids, we didn't have to use that so much. We had a pen and a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But the amount of near work that we do these days has changed dramatically from when you and I were kids. It's a big problem because it does push us toward nearsightedness, too, when we're young.
When I take my child to the pediatrician, do I ask for an eye test? Does the pediatrician, who's kind of a general practitioner, with a specialty in kids, do they know as much about eye care as if I come to Dr. Sam's Eye Care? Well,
pediatricians do eye exams on kids. And what they do typically is...
you look at the chart, and that's about it.
Well, they'll look at the chart. They'll also use what's called a direct ophthalmoscope, which you might be familiar with, that little hand instrument with the black head on the top that they'll get up close and peek through to take a look inside the eye. And then a gross external examination, looking at the kid, looking to see if you can see an eye turn, that type of thing. That's about the extent of a typical pediatrician eye examination, which is good, and you sure wouldn't want to go without it. But we do go farther if you're taking your kid to a regular eye care professional too. We typically dilate their pupils, put some drops in their eyes so that we can really examine everything inside their eyes and see what's going on there. The kids don't like that for a couple of hours usually because their vision's a little bit blurry afterwards. But we also, when we do that, we can actually measure fairly accurately what we call their refractive error, any need for eyeglasses that they might have, which can really be hidden in kids. You don't necessarily see that, particularly kids who are quite farsighted and might have problems with an eye turn because of farsightedness, or just really straining and struggling to be able to see all the time. Yeah.
So if my child can see better in a distance than they can up front, if your kid comes to you and just says, well, I really don't enjoy reading, are they maybe masking a vision problem?
Very possibly. Yeah, and it's certainly worth checking at that point. Doesn't mean that every kid who doesn't like to read is got a vision problem, but you certainly want to know. Yeah.
So at what age, if I'm a parent, at what age do I start having my kids' eyes checked?
Well, that's a great question, John, and that's changed a lot, again, since you and I were kids. Just healthcare in general is a lot more careful and detailed than it was back then. A lot of things get caught that weren't caught back then, and the answer might surprise you a little bit. I mean, typically we like to see kids for a comprehensive, complete eye examination within their first year. And the best age to do that is between 4 and 6 months. They're very compliant. They'll sit there and look at your light. They don't fight with you. They are very easy to examine at that point, and you can get a very good idea as to whether they're going to have any vision problems coming along.
Really? At 4 to 6 months?
Mm-hmm. And there are some rare things that you really want to look for at that age, too. There are eye health problems that, and also general systemic health problems that can come along there. Yeah. You hate to think about it too much, but about 1 in every 10,000 kids has a malignant tumor in an eye that has to be dealt with because it can be life-threatening. That's rare, but when you see it, it means a lot. We had a kid not too long ago who came in. She was about 5 months old. Mom thought that there was a little something off, and this is often how these referrals come along, is mom or dad or somebody in the family notices that just something doesn't seem right. They bring the kid in for an eye exam. This particular child had congenital cataracts. She had a cataract in each eye that was severely blurring her vision. Those things you really want to catch early on.
So you could just catch that immediately and turn around most of these problems, I would imagine.
Yes. If you can catch these things when they're very young and do something about them, that's terrific, because there's a window of opportunity that goes up to about 5 years old when the neurological hardwiring is taking place, when what you're seeing is being translated into structure being put together in the brain so that people can have good vision. And once you get beyond about 5-6 years, you can't do much with that. If you can catch these things when a kid is a year old, 2 years old, if something needs to get done at that point, then that's really where you want to be.
Dr. Sam's here today. Dr. Sam's Eye Care in Claremont on Dunning Street, right behind Valley Regional Hospital, and of course in Hanover, right behind Yama, in the same building on Dorrance Place in Hanover. We're talking about your child's eye health. Here's a crazy question: if mom and dad wear glasses, chances are the child's going to have eye problems and wear glasses?
Much more likely, yeah. Nearsightedness, astigmatism, farsightedness do tend to run in families quite a bit. So, and especially if they have brothers and sisters who have problems with their vision, you definitely want to get them checked also. And we think of this as being mostly about vision to read the blackboard, that type of thing. But there's a whole second side of this, which is also that kids really need to have good vision with both eyes, using them both together efficiently to be good at sports, too. Most fast-moving ball sports, to be comfortable, have excellent depth perception, be comfortable walking on irregular surfaces or moving quickly on surfaces. Kids who do not have good vision in both eyes equally and using those eyes together to be able to have good depth perception, those kids tend to be they tend to be clumsy. They tend to be aversive to doing any kind of sports activities. And I guess most of us want our kids to be very well-rounded. So.
Sure. And Dr. Sam, how do you deal with your child if they have a lazy eye or their eyes are slightly crossed? What are the ways to reverse that?
Well, often it's because the kid is farsighted, which means that if you're older and you're farsighted, it means you probably aren't seeing very well up close and you see better in the distance. But when you're a kid, you have this tremendous focusing ability compared to older people. And what it means is that they will use that focusing ability to keep things in focus. But when it happens, they will often cross their eyes to be able to see clearly. So they have to choose between single vision or clear vision. And they will take clear vision and just use one eye because they can't tolerate the double vision that they get from crossing their eyes. If that's the case, it's a very easy fix. It's putting a pair of glasses on a kid. Yeah. And it's critical to do it because then if you get them young, then you can change things so that they can end up with just as good vision as anybody else does.
Dr. Sam from Dr. Sam's Eye Care this morning on WNTK and WUVR. Let's talk about the emotional side of this. One more question. Kids with glasses. One of the things that stands out from the message, and it brings a smile to my face every time you say that, and every time the announcer says it in your commercial, and it is, for the hipster in you, we have all kinds of different styles. With all the different styles of frames that you have, does that take a little bit of the emotional sting out of the fact that my child might have to wear glasses?
I think you're remembering when we were kids again, aren't you, John?
You bet. Yeah, absolutely.
You were four eyes if you had to wear glasses, right?
I had good eyesight. I can't complain.
Yeah. And these days, I guess it's good. Glasses are more in fashion. I mean, a lot more people wear glasses. There's a lot more nearsighted kids, so that a lot more kids do wear glasses. Yeah. But glasses don't seem to be on the outs the way they were when we were kids.
Yeah, that's good. And almost a fashion statement now.
Yeah, but you bring up the emotional side. I mean, it's actually a great point to bring up. Actually, studies have been done by psychological researchers showing kids pictures of other kids and they'll have photoshopped these pictures so that in one photograph the kid's eyes are properly aligned and looking at the camera, and in the other picture they're not aligned properly, and you can see that. And you show these two pictures to kids, and you say, hey, which one of these kids would you want to be friends with? And they will, most of the time, choose the one with straight eyes.
Wow. And
so this has huge psychological and social impact on kids who do not have good eye alignment. So it's something that, it's another reason to check in on this and just make sure everything's working properly.
Dr. Sam is in Claremont on Dunning Street, right behind Valley Regional Hospital, on Doran's Place in Hanover. That's right behind Yama. They're in the same building. The greatest telephone number in the world, 543-2020. That's easy to remember, 603-543-2020 for all your eye care needs, just to protect your kids, to protect yourself. As Mom said, we'll go full circle here. You only get one pair of eyes. Boy, is that the truth. Online at drsamseyecare.com. We'll put all of that information so you can get in touch with Dr. Sam up on our Facebook page at WNTK.com. Dr. Sam, always a pleasure. Look forward to having you come back in a few more weeks. Let's talk some more.
Great talking to you, John. Thank you so much.
Dr. Sam, Dr. Sam's Eye Care.